Eastern Standard Time, yes. English, absolutely.
Still fiddling, Dave?
I don't fiddle, I tweak.
Oh, there's a difference?
Oh, big difference. You see, to fiddle implies a lack of direction, whereas I know exactly what I'm doing.
And that is?
Adjusting our home theater for the absolute best performance. You see, tonight's movie will come through with the sharpest picture and most awe-inspiring sound our neighbors have heard since, well, since our last movie night.
Yeah, that was great. But could you turn down the bass this time, Dr. Blumenstein?
Sure. Now that we've got the Sound and Vision home theater tune-up, everything will be perfect. Except maybe your popcorn. Oh, hi, I'm Dave.
And I'm Julia. And if you've gotten this far, you probably have a new DVD player or home theater system, and you're looking for advice on how to hook it up and maximize its performance. Well, you've come to the right place.
Sound and Vision, the world's largest entertainment equipment magazine, has teamed up with Ovation Software, makers of the acclaimed Avia Guide to Home Theater DVD, to bring you this easy-to-follow setup disc.
Sound and Vision has tapped its expert staff and matchless archives to provide the answers you'll need when you bring home your equipment. With Ovation's exclusive audio calibration signals and video test patterns, it's a combination that can't be beat.
Now, in this home theater workshop, we've gathered all the elements of a modern digital home theater to show you step-by-step how to install and operate your gear. And we'll give you some basic test signals anyone can use to calibrate their TV and surround sound for peak performance.
And if you run into trouble, Home Theater Tune-Up will help you troubleshoot the problem before you run back to the store to ask for help or return a component you think is broken.
When we're all done, we'll show you ways to upgrade your system and offer tips for your next shopping trip. But before we begin, we've got a few notes of caution. First, some of the audio signals and test patterns on this disc could damage your equipment if used carelessly. Start with the volume low and then turn it up to achieve your typical setting.
The video test signals are non-moving patterns that could permanently burn into your screen if left on for too long or if your contrast and brightness are turned too high. Set those controls to their midpoint before you start, then leave each pattern on the screen only as long as it takes to make the adjustment.
Oh, and one more thing. We know how electrifying the home theater experience can be, but don't mess around inside your gear. Really, it could be a shocking experience, quite literally. All the calibrations on this DVD can be made with the external controls on your equipment, okay? So, let's get started.
In this section, we'll explain the different components and their functions, starting with this, the DVD player. DVDs offer twice the clarity of VHS tapes and all the benefits of digital video. That means the picture is free from distortions like bleeding colors and video noise. DVDs also let you skip to any part on the disc without having to rewind or fast forward through the whole program.
Just like a CD.
And speaking of sound, DVDs use the Dolby Digital or DTS digital audio formats for 6 channels of surround sound. That's the same technology used to rock the house in most movie theaters. Put it all together, and you just might end up tossing out all your old VHS tapes.
Of course, you don't really need a surround sound system to watch DVDs.
All you need is a television with audio and video inputs. However, without a good sound system, you're only getting half the picture. The sound is really what makes a home theater. It's what brings the picture to life.
For a home theater, you should have at least a 27-inch screen, though a bigger picture is always better.
Home video displays come in several varieties, including typical direct view sets, rear projectors, and front projectors. We'll explain these options and talk about high-definition television, or HD TV, in the chapter about upgrading your home theater.
Once you've got a DVD player and TV, you should add surround sound. The most common way to do this is with one of these, a digital audio, video, or AV receiver. These all-in-one boxes combine everything you need. The first function of an AV receiver is to act as a switching center for all your source components. Everything connects to it. Then, when you select each source component, the correct picture and sound are routed to your TV and speakers. Now, besides playing traffic cop, an AV receiver decodes surround sound from your sources and lets you adjust volume and tone.
The last thing a receiver does is power your speakers. You'll need at least 5, including 2 at the front, a center speaker for dialogue, and a pair of surround speakers alongside or to the rear of your seating. Most people also add a 6th speaker, a self-powered subwoofer to enhance bass and special effects. Matching bookshelf systems like this one are called subwoofer satellite systems. They're very popular because the small satellites are easy to place and can produce excellent sound. The powered subwoofer fills in the bass that the small speakers can't by virtue of their size. The 5 main speakers in a surround system should be sonically matched, so you should buy your entire speaker system from the same manufacturer or find speakers designed to match your existing ones.
If you're in the market to buy a surround system, check out Chapter 7 about upgrading your home theater. If you've already got your gear, stick around, because in the next chapter, we'll show you how you hook it all together for the best picture and sound. You ready, Julia?
Absolutely, Dave.
All right, let's do it.
Male, female, female. What is in there? Huh.
Skip the owner's manual again, Dave.
So many different components, so many different wires and plugs and jacks. Bahara. I guess I got a little ahead of myself.
Uh-huh. Hi again. We've tied Dave up here to make an important point.
That I'm easily humiliated by stupid stunts?
Well, no. We've done it to show how intimidating setting up a home theater system can be. We realize it seems complicated. There are so many different choices for audio and video connections and cables.
Oh, in this chapter, we're going to take you step by step through the installation process. We'll show you where to put the speakers, which connections to use for the best picture and sound, and guess what? You really don't have to end up tied up in knots. Just take your time and follow our instructions and those in your product manuals.
Okay, so let's get started.
Yeah, Julia, could you just... Oh, cramp. Cramp? Julia!
The first step when installing a home theater is deciding where to put the equipment. Your components, such as your DVD player, VCR, and receiver, can be anywhere in the room. Given the power a home theater can draw, a dedicated 3-pronged circuit is recommended. You'll need more than 2 outlets, so get a heavy-duty power strip with its own circuit breaker and surge protector. Stay away from table lamp extension cords. They can overheat and become a fire hazard. Any equipment rack with an open back or holes for passing cables should serve nicely. Receivers and power amps generate a lot of heat, so they need good ventilation, at least an inch of space on the top and sides.
For traditional TVs, the distance from the screen to your eye should be about 3 times the diagonal measurement of your screen. For a 32-inch set, your best viewing distance would be about 96 inches or 8 feet away. Move closer and the scan lines making up the picture could become distracting. On the other hand, the new high-definition digital TVs allow you to get much closer, so consider that option if space is tight. In many home theaters, the sofa is against the back wall, which is fine, but for the best sound quality, position your sofa away from the walls. The open space behind you will help create a 3-dimensional sound field.
The positions of the TV and viewing seats pretty much dictate speaker placement. The front speakers go on either side of your TV. These are also your stereo speakers, so proper placement will ensure good sound for both movies and music. Make sure both your TV screen and your main listening position are centered between the speakers. Most home theater speakers are magnetically shielded to prevent interference with the picture tube, so you can put them right next to the TV. But they'll sound better if you spread them out to create a wider sound stage. Experiment to find the best placement. If you're using small speakers up front, put them on stands rather than in a bookshelf or entertainment center. This allows the sound to radiate without reflecting off the shelf or other nearby surfaces.
In most systems, there are usually 2 possible spots for the center channel speaker, either directly above or directly below the screen. Remember, the center speaker's main job is to reproduce dialogue, so placing it anywhere else will sound unnatural.
Placement of your surround speakers is critical. The sound from surround speakers should be difficult to pinpoint. That's why some are dipole designs, which radiate from 2 sides at once to create a wider sound field. Whether you've got dipoles or regular surrounds, place them to the sides of the listener and elevate them about 3 feet above ear level. Some people ignore this advice and put surrounds low into the rear, such as on an end table or a bookcase. Your home theater will still work, but it won't fully create the sonic envelope that makes surround sound so exciting. If you must put your surround speakers behind you, mount them high on the rear wall. Read your speaker and receiver manuals for additional advice.
The last speaker in your home theater, the subwoofer, can be put almost anywhere because the bass frequencies are not directional. Corner placement is best, but under an end table or behind a sofa should work fine. Leave some space around the sub to let the sound fill the room. But be careful. There are a few things to know about subwoofer placement. Low-frequency sound waves are quite long. Therefore, they are more affected by room boundaries such as walls and floors and ceilings than the sound from other speakers. That's why putting your sub near a corner away from large room openings will often boost the bass. As a second choice, pointing the sub along a side wall will also boost the output. Pretty simple, right? Just drop your sub in a corner and you're ready to go. Well, not so fast. Since the sub often ends up in a different spot than the front speakers, its sound reaches your ears at a slightly different time. We call those sound waves out of phase, and they can make your subwoofer sound hollow and anemic. Another problem is that bass sound waves can bounce around the room, canceling each other out. You can fix these problems by moving the subwoofer or adjusting its phase control, usually located in the bottom or the back of the unit. We'll show you how to do that during the audio tune-up.
There's another part of your home theater we haven't discussed. Your room.
Right.
First, the lights. Turn them down. All video displays work best in dimmed or dark rooms. Next, your furnishings. They're as much a part of your system as your components. Home theaters sound best when they're acoustically dead, meaning there's little reverberation and reflection of the sound.
Bare walls and floors make rooms sound live and leave their own imprint on the sound.
Rooms with drapes, plush furniture, and bookcases absorb the sound, which is what you want. Don't underestimate how much a rug, couch, and wall hangings can improve the sound of your system.
Try this simple test. Just stand in the middle of your room, clap your hands loudly, and listen for the character and timing of the decay. Hercules. Try it in different rooms and you'll see what we mean about live and dead acoustics.
Okay, I think we've got all the components set up.
Yep.
Let's start wiring.
Oh, wiring, my favorite.
Dave.
I'm not turning around.
Dave, you are such a...
I'm
Come
not
on.
turning. Ow, ow, ow. Okay. So you're probably wondering what's up with the shirts. Well, when your stylist works for an AV magazine, this is his idea of fashion.
We've turned ourselves into human test patterns to show you the importance of choosing the right connections when hooking up your system.
DVD players deliver up to 4 different picture formats. Unfortunately, the most commonly used is the least desirable. Now, here's why. Take a close look at the pattern on our shirts. It's strictly black and white. But if you see colors in this pattern, it's technically called moire. That means you've plugged your DVD player into the composite video input on your TV. Composite video carries both the black and white and color parts of the picture on one wire. Now, when this signal gets to your TV, a circuit called a filter separates the color from the black and white.
Problem is, no filter is perfect. So you get moire and other distortions. But there is an easy way to fix that.
There is.
The S-video and component video outputs on your DVD player carry the color and black and white on separate wires. Use one of these options and you'll bypass the filter, eliminating distortion and improving clarity. It's a big jump in picture quality, and all you have to do is choose the right connection. Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah, well, not as cool as these shirts. A wardrobe.
We'll be right back to explain more about video connections and help you hook up your DVD player and receiver. Dave!
Not wearing it. Here's the back of a DVD player. We recommend you use the best and purest video signal you can. Now, starting with the best, these are component video, S-video, and composite video. Some players also offer progressive scan component video. It typically uses the regular component video outputs and hooks up to a progressive scan input found on some TVs. Now, we'll say more about progressive scan video in our chapter about upgrading your home theater. I know, this sounds all very complicated, but just think of each successive level of video quality as removing additional layers of processing, resulting in a clearer picture with better color. If your player offers component video outputs and your TV has component inputs, make that your first choice. You can connect the signal directly to your TV or route it through your AV receiver. And we'll do it both ways. The process is the same whether you use the component video, S-video, or composite video jacks. Component video signals are carried on 3 separate RCA cables, often color-coded red, green, and blue. Matching color to color, run the cables from the DVD player's component video outputs to your TV's component video inputs.
To watch the DVD player, switch your TV to the component video input using the button on the remote marked TV/video. And you may also need to activate the component jacks on your player or the TV for the first time you watch. Read your owner's manual. If your receiver has jacks for component video, you can use it to switch among your sources. Locate the block of input jacks on your receiver's back panel, designated for the DVD player. Matching color to color, run cables from the DVD player's component video outputs to the component inputs in the receiver. Then find the receiver's TV output, sometimes labeled TV monitor. Matching color to color, run cables from the receiver's component video outputs to the TV's component video inputs. When you select your DVD player on your receiver, its picture will appear on your TV while the sound comes through the speakers. If your TV lacks component video inputs, repeat the routine to connect your DVD player's S-video or composite video output to your receiver or TV. Now with S-video, you'll enjoy most of the picture quality of component video. Making S-video connections is simple. The entire signal is carried on a single cable with multi-pin connectors. But please take care to align the little plastic tab inside. The pins bend easily. Our rule is look twice, push once, and keep S-video cables as short as possible. The picture can deteriorate on long runs. Now the last type of video signal you'll encounter on your player is the composite signal we described earlier. It's carried on a conventional RCA cable and is identified by a yellow connector, and it's usually just labeled video out. Composite video from a DVD player is noticeably inferior to S-video, but is still a dramatic improvement over VHS tape or traditional TV broadcast. Well, that completes the basic video connections. Let's move on to the audio.
Now it's time to hook up the audio from your player. Here you've got two choices, analog or digital. The back of your DVD player has standard analog stereo outputs and one or more digital audio outputs. The stereo outputs accept RCA cables for a TV or an older receiver. Some DVD players are equipped with an onboard surround processor and have 6 analog outputs. These are for the 6-channel inputs found on digital-ready receivers. Your digital receiver has built-in Dolby Digital and probably DTS surround sound processing. Use your DVD player's digital audio output to get the full capabilities of those formats. Your player and receiver may have jacks for coaxial audio cables, fiber optic cables, or both. Coaxial cables have RCA plugs that are often color-coded orange. Optical connections have a toslink connector on either end. Check your DVD player and receiver to see which connectors are available. If you have a choice, use the toslink. It will eliminate interference that can occur with regular wires. When you're ready to make the connection, hook up your DVD player's digital audio output to the corresponding digital input on your receiver. With some receivers, the digital inputs aren't labeled for a particular source component. In this case, you'll need to assign a digital input to the DVD player from the receiver's setup menu. Follow your manual.
Also, follow your owner's manual for advice on hooking up additional audio and video components, such as a VCR, hard disk video recorder, satellite TV system, or other devices. But you may still be left wondering what to do with this, your cable TV box. Well, in all likelihood, your cable signal is hooked up to your TV through your set's antenna input. Most people don't want to turn on their home theater just to watch the news. Leave your box where it is. If your cable box has audio and composite video outputs, connect them to one of your receiver's source inputs, turning your cable box into a video source component. You'll get better image quality and be able to use your receiver's surround and ambience modes for movies, concerts, and sporting events.
Once your source components are hooked up to your receiver, you're ready for the speakers. We recommend you flag each cable about a foot from the receiver end with a piece of masking tape identifying the channel. If you disconnect your speakers for any reason, you'll be able to quickly reattach them. You'll also have to watch each speaker's polarity or phase. Remember, plus on the receiver goes to plus on the speaker, while minus goes to minus, red to red, black to black. Mix it up and your sound quality, specifically imaging and bass, will suffer. Bare speaker cables usually have identification on one of the two sides. The wires can be of different colored metals, the insulation may be color-coded, or one side might be marked with writing or raised ribbing. The convention is that the red, copper, or ribbed side goes to the plus or red terminal on both the speaker and receiver, while the other wire connects to the minus or black terminals. When we do our audio tune-up in Chapter 5, we'll run tests to help you quickly determine if your speakers are correctly wired. Most receivers and speakers have connectors that accept bare speaker wires. Unless your cables are very thick, this works fine. But be sure you get a solid connection to each wire. Now it's time to hook up the powered subwoofer. Most have both a line level input and a set of speaker level inputs. The line level input takes the RCA subwoofer output from your receiver. The speaker level inputs are fed by the terminals for your main left and right front speakers. Those speakers get connected to the sub speaker outputs. The line level output is the preferred connection if it is available. Find the sub output jack on the receiver's back panel. Just use a long RCA cable to connect it to the sub input. Some receivers and subwoofers have stereo outputs and inputs. In that case, connect a pair of cables or use a Y adapter to feed both jacks. To complete the setup, we'll need to adjust the sub controls and set all the speaker levels. We'll do that in the audio tune-up in Chapter 5. For now, we still have to tell our digital receiver a few things about our speakers, their size, and how far they are from the main listening position.
Your receiver's speaker menu is visited once and not touched again until you change your speakers or placement, but it's one of the most important menus for achieving good sound. In this menu, you're defining each of the 5 main speakers as either small or large. This tells the receiver whether it should send low-frequency information to the primary speakers, the subwoofer, or both. Now, for our purposes, small is defined as any speaker with a woofer that's 8 inches or less in diameter, the woofer being the largest cone in the speaker. The majority of home theater speakers today fall into the small category. Selecting small for the main speakers and setting the subwoofer to on tells the receiver to send the deep bass to the subwoofer, the speaker best equipped to handle it. You'll also need to adjust the time delay for the surround and center speakers. For the best surround sound, you want the sound from the different speakers to reach your ears at the same time. You ensure this by telling your receiver the distance from the surround and center speakers to your ears. Since surrounds are usually placed closer to you than the front speakers, the receiver adds a delay of a few milliseconds to the surround signal, allowing the sound from the front speakers to catch up. You set this with another on-screen menu. On most receivers, you'll be asked to enter the distance from each speaker to the main listening position, as we're demonstrating here. Now we're all hooked up. It's time to tune up our system.
Hi. Despite Dave's sound effects, this is not a test of the emergency broadcast system or the sign-off of your favorite late-night TV station.
Nope, it's just the Sound and Vision video tune-up, where we'll take you through some simple procedures for correctly setting the picture controls on your television. Now, there's a reason those color bars look so familiar. This is one of many standardized test patterns developed by the Society of Motion Picture and Television Engineers, otherwise known as SMPTE, to guarantee consistent picture quality throughout the video chain, from the broadcast studio all the way into your home.
Home videos, such as VHS tapes and DVDs, are also mastered to these standards. So if you pop in a movie and want to see what the film's director intended, you've got to set your TV's brightness, contrast, color, and tint to SMPTE specs. Unfortunately, most new televisions are calibrated at the factory to look good in brightly lit stores, not in your home theater. But using the test patterns on our disc, you can optimize your television's performance, improving the picture and extending the life of your TV set.
Before we get started, you should know the test patterns and procedures on this disc are designed to set picture controls on CRT, or cathode ray tube TV displays, including traditional direct view TVs and most rear projection televisions. Front projectors require additional adjustments for proper maintenance. Many of these are intended for only qualified technicians and installers.
If you're trained to make these adjustments yourself, or if you're just interested in more fully assessing the image quality for any video display, the Avia Guide to Home Theater, also from Ovation Software, includes many informative test patterns. Now, you'll need to do several things before performing these calibrations. First, let your TV warm up for about a half hour using any moving images, not a static test pattern, which could burn into your screen and cause permanent damage. Next, go to your TV's on-screen menu and turn off any automatic color correction circuits, such as auto flush tone or any others. If your set offers different picture modes, such as those labeled Sports or Movie, select the Movie setting option. Otherwise, choose the normal setting. If your TV has different color temperature settings, you'll need to set that too. Color temperature establishes an overall hue for the picture even before you make color adjustments. Think of it as the color of the canvas before you start applying the paint. Consult your owner's manual to determine the setting closest to the neutral gray called for in the SMPTE standard. Usually, this is the so-called warm setting. Also, if your DVD player has an option for something called enhanced black level, make sure it's turned off or set to the standard or normal picture mode. And you'll need to subdue the room lighting as you would for watching movies. Ambient light can wash out the screen and negatively affect the adjustments.
We're ready to tune up our TV. For best results, it's important to follow the steps in order. First is setting the contrast, technically called white level. Now, if contrast is set too high, you'll shorten the life of your TV and exaggerate video noise. This is a demonstration version of the test pattern used for setting contrast. Don't make any adjustments yet, just watch the tutorial. Now keep an eye on the white box on top of the stack in the upper portion of the screen as we raise and lower the contrast. You'll notice when contrast is high, the edges of the white and lightest gray boxes become less sharp and start to bleed into the surrounding black area. This is called blooming. The best setting is found by adjusting the contrast to the point just before the blooming begins. Okay, here comes the real test pattern. When you're finished, press the chapter button on your remote or wait for the program to advance.
Once you've set contrast, the next adjustment is brightness, sometimes called black level. If the brightness is set too high, the picture gets washed out. If it's too low, you'll lose detail in the shadows. The pattern for adjusting brightness is called a plugge pattern, which is demonstrated here. It's very simple to use. Keep an eye on the screen as we adjust the brightness. When the brightness is turned up, you can see two moving bars in the black area doing a kind of line dance from side to side. When the brightness is turned down too low, they both disappear into black. The goal is to find the brightness setting where the left bar has disappeared and the right bar is just slightly visible. Now get ready for the real test pattern. You'll have 3 minutes. When you're through with your adjustment, press the chapter button on your DVD remote or just wait till the program advances.
Next up is sharpness, sometimes called detail. Along with contrast, this is the most widely abused control on any TV.
Sharpness sounds like a good thing, so most people crank it up. Bad idea. Setting the sharpness too high exaggerates video noise and distorts the edges of objects.
With most TVs, the correct setting is close to the bottom of the scale. This test pattern has two different indications. First, watch the identical rows of short vertical lines at the top and bottom of the screen. As you vary the sharpness, you'll see different portions of the bars brighten. Ultimately, you look for the setting where the entire bar has equal brightness. Next, watch the black horizontal and vertical lines forming a kind of crosshair in the middle of the screen. If sharpness is set too low, the black lines will be noticeably blurry. If set too high, you'll see white edges on the black lines. Try to find the setting that optimizes both indicators. Okay, here's the real test pattern.
Now let's set color and tint. You'll need a special tool. It's the tinted blue filter that came with this disc. This test pattern is a variation on traditional color bars developed by Ovation software for home calibration. Notice the 4 flashing squares. Watch what happens when we simulate what it's like to view them through the blue filter. Their level of brightness against the bars is now easily detected. As we vary the color control, we reach a point where the squares marked saturation and the bars behind them are about the same brightness. The squares almost disappear. That's the correct setting. Now look what happens when we vary the tint. The 2 squares marked hue do the same thing, blending and almost disappearing into the bars behind them. As with the color control, that's the correct setting. Now it's your turn. The actual test pattern will appear for 5 minutes to allow you to set both color and tint. It may be impossible to make the squares disappear completely. Just get as close as you can. When you've completed the tint adjustment, go back and check the color again. After 2 or 3 cycles, you should have optimized both controls.
The human test patterns are back for one last tweak, dude. Many televisions exaggerate reds and flesh tones, causing pure red objects like our sweatshirts to look oversaturated and fuzzy around the edges. This so-called red push can also make yellow objects like these ties look orange.
Take a good look now. If your picture is displaying these symptoms, turn down the color control until they go away. And that's it. Short of bringing in a professional technician, you've calibrated your television for its best performance. Now let's tune up the audio.
Get out of these outfits.
Please.
Wardrobe? Hey, Julia, you in here?
Up here, Dave. What happened to the picture?
This is the audio tune-up chapter. It's about getting the best surround sound. We don't need a picture when we got 6 channels of digital audio to tell the story.
Hey, duck and cover! Stop that. That was too close. Now come over here and let's get started.
Yeah, sure. Hang on. Okay, let's see. Where am I? That feels like... Yeah, okay, almost there. Is that you, Julia?
Hey!
Ow! Yahoo! Okay, guess so.
Dave, would you please turn on the picture?
No, not unless you say you're sorry.
Well, we have to put something on the screen.
Fine. Here.
Wait a minute! What's this? You've turned us into audio signals?
Cool, huh? Like I said, who needs pictures?
Well, I guess I can live with it for this chapter. Welcome to the Sound and Vision Audio Tune-Up. This is where we'll help you check the wiring of your speakers and calibrate them for the best surround sound using test signals developed by Ovation Software and David Renata, technical editor at Sound and Vision magazine.
Before we begin the audio tests, some important information. First, the tests we're about to give you are for Dolby Digital 5.1 channel systems. You'll need to set your receiver and DVD player for Dolby Digital 5.1 channel playback before you start. If you're not sure how to do that, we explain the procedure in Chapter 6. Also, if you have a 6.1 channel receiver with THX Surround EX, DTS ES, or a similar 6.1 channel surround sound mode, you'll find 6.1 channel signals to adjust your system in the Audio Tune-Up menu accessible through the main menu. So let's begin the Audio Tune-Up.
This is the screen for the first test, speaker identification. The boxes represent your speakers. As each box is highlighted, make sure you hear the test signal from the appropriate speaker. If you don't, check your connections. When the subwoofer is highlighted, you'll hear only a low rumbling sound from the sub and possibly other speakers. If you don't hear anything, make sure you've turned on the sub output in the receiver's speaker menu and that the sub's level control is turned up to its halfway point. Okay, here comes the speaker ID test. When you're done, press the Chapter Advance button on your DVD remote to advance to the next test.
Left front, center front, right front, right surround, left surround, left front, center front, right front, right surround, left surround, left front, center front, right front, right surround, left surround, left front, center front, right front, right surround, left surround, left front, center front, right front, right surround, left surround, left front, center front, right front, right surround, left surround, left front, center front, right front, right surround, left surround, left front, center front, right front, right surround, left surround, left front, center front, right front, right surround, left surround, left front, center front, right front, right surround, left surround, left front, center front, right front, right surround, left surround, left front, center front, right front, right surround, left surround, left front, center front, right front, right surround, left surround, left front, center front, right front, right surround, left surround, left front, center front, right front, right surround, left surround.
Next up is the speaker phase check, sometimes called polarity. Now remember, the rule for connecting speakers to your receiver is plus to plus, minus to minus, or red to red, black to black. Reversing the plus and minus wires on one speaker causes it to push the air when all the others in the system are pulling. This can make the bass seem weak and affect sonic imaging. Speaker phase is checked in pairs, so we'll repeat the test 3 times to cover the 5 main speakers. We'll start with the front left and right. Now face these speakers, positioning yourself evenly between them. When the test begins, you'll hear a noise signal. The signal will be in phase for 4 seconds, then out of phase for 2 seconds. You'll see the active speakers highlighted and the phase status identified on your screen. If your speakers are properly connected, the in-phase noise will be clearly focused between the speakers. When the signal is out of phase, the sound appears to float all over the room, and its source will not be clearly focused between the speakers. If the short, out-of-phase signal has better focus, check the speakers for polarity and correct any miswiring. The phase checks are about to begin. Face each speaker pair as you test it, and keep in mind the effects will be harder to detect when testing dipole surrounds.
The next step is to balance your speakers so they work together as a team. It's a procedure you'll rarely have to repeat unless you change or move your speakers. Home theater tune-up's balancing signal is noise that stops at each speaker, allowing you to adjust its level to match the others. Most AV receivers have a built-in test signal that does the same thing. In fact, some receivers only allow speaker balancing with their built-in test signal, which will override the sound on this disc when you attempt to adjust speaker levels. That's okay. Either signal works, and you can use our test to double-check your settings later. Whichever signal you use, the procedure is the same. Consult your receiver manual to gain access to the speaker level adjustments through your remote control. Then, while sitting at the primary listening position, use the test signal to adjust each speaker to the same loudness using your ears or an inexpensive sound level meter. This one costs about $35 at Radio Shack, and it's highly recommended for setting up your home theater. You'll find a special section that describes how to use it in the Audio Tune-Up menu, accessible from the main menu. For balancing by ear, first adjust the overall volume to the setting you use for watching movies. We'll do the 5 main speakers first and the subwoofer later. When you've adjusted all 5 speakers, hit the Chapter Advance button on your DVD remote to go to the next section. If you're using the built-in test signal on your receiver, skip to the next section on subwoofer setup. The balancing signal will begin momentarily.
Blending your subwoofer with the rest of the system is often the hardest part of setting up a home theater. Getting it right requires a good ear and lots of fine-tuning with different program material, but our procedure will get you started. Most subwoofers have 3 primary controls. The level control adjusts the sub's volume so it can be balanced with the rest of the system. The crossover control determines where in the audio frequency range your subwoofer and other speakers blend. The final control is for phase, sometimes called polarity. You can begin by setting the crossover and phase controls to their normal positions. The crossover control is marked off in units of Hz for Hertz, the unit of measurement of sound wave frequency. However, digital receivers automatically set the crossover point for their subwoofer output based on your selections in the speaker setup menu. So just set your sub's crossover to its wide open full clockwise position, allowing the receiver's built-in crossover to do the work. This is the correct setting in the vast majority of systems, most of which use small to mid-size main speakers. In systems with large main speakers that produce a lot of bass, you may find that some lower settings sounds more natural. If you have a sound level meter, the audio tune-up menu offers a test signal that can help you determine whether the sound transitions smoothly from your main speakers to your subwoofer. The phase control is usually a simple switch with settings for 0 and 180 degrees, or a knob with the same range. In rare instances, poor subwoofer placement can dramatically hurt performance, making the bass sound weak or boomy, but flipping the phase control to its opposite position is often all that's needed to fix it. Set the phase control to 0 degrees, which is the correct position in most systems. If you suspect a problem, the audio tune-up menu offers a subwoofer phase test that can be used to confirm the correct setting for your system.
The last step in the audio tune-up is setting the subwoofer level, which must be matched to the level you've set for the main speakers. Before running this or other subwoofer tests, be sure you've turned on the receiver's sub output and correctly entered the size of your other speakers. The vast majority of home theater systems should use the small or normal setting. Also, your receiver's subwoofer level adjustment should be permanently set to its 0 dB or neutral setting, as you'll be using the sub's own level control to make these adjustments. Set the receiver's volume to your preferred listening level or a little louder, and begin with the sub's level control turned counterclockwise all the way down. Here's the screen for the subwoofer level tone. When the test starts, slowly raise the subwoofer level until you clearly hear noise alternating between the left front speaker and subwoofer. Continue turning up the level until the sound from the two speakers appears to be about the same loudness, or until they read the same on a sound level meter. Here comes the test now. It's helpful to have a friend work the subwoofer controls while you listen or take measurements from your primary seating.
Well, Julia, I think we're about ready to turn on the picture again and start talking about how to operate a home theater.
Great. I'm feeling a little, I don't know, disconnected. Would you mind putting us back in our bodies?
Oh, sure. Let me see now. I think it was, well, maybe it was this one.
Dave, what's going on?
Wait a minute. I think I got it. Or maybe, guess not.
Dave?
Hey, pass the popcorn?
Dave, you're anamorphic.
No. I had that treated.
No, anamorphic, all squeezed and distorted.
Uh-oh. Oh, Julia, you're right. And you are too!
Oh, duh, I am.
Go!
Everything is squeezed. We must be enhanced for widescreen viewing.
Huh? Wait.
Oh, you pressed the wrong button again.
My spine.
Actually, we just illustrated an important point.
That's right, Julia. It's possible to shed excess pounds and gain 3 inches of height through the magic of video.
Uh-huh. Actually, this is what could happen when you don't pay attention to the settings on your gear.
So if you're new to the home theater game, pay close attention, because when things aren't right with your system, you'll probably find the answer in this chapter. Seems simple, right? If you want your equipment to work, plug it in and turn it on. All of it. For a home theater, you'll need to power up your TV, AV receiver, DVD player, and any other source components you plan to use, such as a VCR or CD player. Next, jog through the input selector on your TV to find the correct signal for your home theater.
Very simply, if you want to play a DVD, either hit the appropriate source button or cycle through the choices on the selector till you find the DVD player. That tells the receiver to send the audio and video signals from the player to your speakers and TV. Now, if you properly set up your system as we described in Chapter 3, you either use the digital audio input designated for the DVD player or one of the unassigned digital inputs. In the latter case, make sure you remembered to properly assign the input so the receiver knows where to look for the sound. Most digital receivers offer 3 primary surround sound formats: Dolby Digital, Digital Theater Systems, known as DTS, and Dolby Pro Logic. In addition, every digital receiver comes with a stereo mode for playing back 2-channel CDs through the main front speakers. Select Dolby Digital for the best Dolby sound quality and surround effects. Some DVDs have a DTS digital soundtrack. If you'd like to access that soundtrack or listen to one of the DTS multi-channel music CDs available, select DTS. For VHS tapes, select the Dolby Pro Logic setting. For videocassettes encoded with Dolby Surround, this mode converts the tape's 2-channel stereo soundtrack for surround playback through all the speakers.
After setting the receiver's surround mode, set the DVD player for your viewing and audio preferences. Make these adjustments using your DVD player setup menu, usually accessible by pushing the setup button on the remote. This is where you can set the default preferences the player uses when you load in a DVD. They include your preferred language for the dialogue and subtitles. Pretty simple stuff. But 2 important options require explanation. First, if you've got a digital receiver, you'll want to make sure the player sends it a Dolby Digital or DTS audio signal. Some players automatically default to analog stereo or something called PCM, a digital audio format used primarily on compact discs. It's tricky. Your AV receiver will still give you surround sound with a PCM signal, but it's likely to be 4-channel Dolby Pro Logic surround sound, not the 6-channel digital format you should be listening to. There's a big difference in the quality of sound and surround effects, so be sure your player is set for the right signal type, or you'll be missing one of the great benefits of the DVD format.
Another important selection you'll make at the DVD setup menu is the picture aspect ratio. Now that sounds techno, but aspect ratio is just a fancy way of describing the proportions of the picture. DVD players most commonly offer choices of 4:3, 4:3 letterbox, or 16:9. Now, stay with me here. Traditional TV screens measure 4:3. For every 4 units of width, there are 3 units of height. That holds for any screen size. In fact, it's likely the shape of the image you're watching right now. Only problem is that most movies today are shot in widescreen, and squeezing them into a standard TV screen requires that information from each frame be edited out, usually through a process called pan and scan. That's where letterboxing comes in. Here's the same frame of video in a 4x3 letterbox. If you go back, you'll notice additional information was picked up at the left and right of the screen. Letterboxing approximates what you see in the movie theater, but at the sacrifice of image height. It also sacrifices some resolution. If you're not using the top and bottom of the screen, you'll have fewer scan lines or pixels with which to display detail. Now here's an example of the same frame of video as an anamorphic image. All the information from the letterboxed image is here, but it's blown up and squeezed from the left and right to make it fit the full 4x3 screen. You can see the effect clearly on these balls. Many DVD movies today come with an anamorphic or enhanced for widescreen version that looks just like this when viewed on a regular TV. But many widescreen TVs, and even some regular 4x3 sets, have an anamorphic screen mode that unsqueezes the picture and restores its normal geometry, as demonstrated here. The bottom line? The best way to watch a DVD movie is to view the anamorphic version on a widescreen TV equipped with an anamorphic picture mode. You'll see all of the original widescreen image intended by the filmmaker and utilize most or all of your screen's inherent resolution. Just select the 16:9 or widescreen mode on your DVD player and the appropriate picture mode on your TV. But if you don't have a TV with an anamorphic mode, be sure your DVD player is set to default to 4x3 or 4x3 letterbox, or you'll be watching distorted images with those anamorphic DVDs.
After adjusting the receiver and the DVD player settings, there's one more menu to visit before you begin watching your DVD. Most DVD discs have their own setup menu. You shouldn't have much to do here after setting your defaults in the DVD player menu. But not every DVD perfectly follows your selections. Sometimes the soundtrack defaults to PCM stereo instead of the 5.1 channel soundtrack. You may not notice because you'll still get surround sound, but if you've got a digital receiver, don't let the disc itself sabotage your sound quality. If you've just loaded a disc, wait for it to boot up the disc menu or call up the menu manually. You'll usually get an option for audio. Just select the 5.1 track to be on the safe side. You can also wait until the movie is playing and press the audio button on your DVD remote to cycle through the soundtrack options on the disc. Now that we've taken you through the world of home theater, you should be ready to call lights, camera, action, and get the show started. I know I am.
Yeah, well, we still have one more problem to solve.
What's that?
The awful movies that you always pick out. I am tired of that trash that you like to watch.
Trash? I didn't... No, look at this.
Yeah? Look at this.
You turned us off. Give me the remote.
No!
I get the remote, you get the checkbook. That's the deal.
Since when?
Since always, that's the deal. Come on.
That is not, the deal is off.
You can't take back the deal. That's
Yes, I can.
The superior picture and sound quality of the DVD player opens the door to enhancing the home theater experience. Only your ambition and your wallet limit your pursuit of home theater nirvana. Now we'll show you some options and give you some tips for your next shopping trip.
If you don't have a surround sound audio system, put it at the top of your wish list. An integrated surround sound system will get you going quickly. These consist of a tabletop electronics console, mini speakers, a matching powered subwoofer, and a single remote to operate the whole system. Some even come with a built-in DVD player. Integrated systems come in a range of prices and performance levels.
Another more flexible approach is to mate a digital audio-video receiver with a surround sound speaker system. AV receivers are self-contained control centers that do it all: source switching, surround processing, and amplification. You'll want a digital AV receiver that offers Dolby Digital, DTS, and Dolby Pro Logic surround sound modes. Dolby Digital and DTS provide discrete 5.1 channel sound, meaning 5 independent channels plus a subwoofer channel. That's the 0.1 in 5.1. You'll find Dolby Digital and DTS soundtracks on many DVD movies and some multi-channel music DVDs or CDs. Dolby Pro Logic processing decodes 4-channel surround sound from VHS stereo hi-fi tapes. Newer receivers offer an enhanced Dolby Pro Logic 2 mode. You might also see receivers offering THX Surround EX and DTS ES surround modes. These 6.1 channel systems add the processing and amplification for an extra back surround speaker or pair. Now, in addition to the basic surround modes, look for high power output. 80 to 100 watts per channel is common for today's receivers. You'll want a receiver offering S-video inputs and outputs, or component video connections if your TV accepts component video signals. Look for at least one 6-channel analog audio input. It can be used to hook up a DVD audio or Super Audio CD player, or other new technologies. If you listen to vinyl LP records, make sure to choose a receiver with a dedicated phono input for your turntable. Some models lack this feature. Also, make sure you fully explore the on-screen menus and displays, as well as the remote control layout of any receiver to ensure they're easy for you to use. When you're shopping, you may see the THX logo on some products. Electronic components carrying a THX emblem have passed minimum performance standards established by the THX division of Lucasfilm, which certifies audio products for both movie theaters and home use. THX speaker systems radiate sound in a special pattern to more closely mimic the sound in a movie theater. You can learn more about THX certification by contacting Lucasfilm using our resource directory.
These days, the best AV receivers deliver superb sound quality. Quality that used to be the exclusive domain of what we call separate audio components. But better separates still pick up where the best receivers leave off, and many enthusiasts go that route where performance is paramount. Separates break out the two main parts of a receiver, a combination preamp and surround processor, and a multi-channel power amplifier, into individual components. Among other benefits, this lets designers build more powerful amplifiers than possible in a receiver.
Few upgrades will have as dramatic effect on sound quality as swapping out your speakers. Today, speakers come in many shapes and sizes. Subwoofer satellite systems combine relatively small or even tiny main speakers with a powered subwoofer that delivers the bass. They're popular because better subsat systems mix manageable size with excellent sound quality.
Tower speakers also squeeze a lot of speaker into a tight space. They typically play louder and with less strain than small bookshelf speakers, and their large cabinets generate more bass. Some towers even come with a built-in amplifier for the woofers. This may eliminate your need for a separate powered subwoofer.
Bipolar towers radiate sound from the front while also bouncing sound off the back wall. With careful speaker placement, the result is an unusually wide and deep soundstage that many people find appealing.
If you'd like to make your speakers nearly disappear, consider in-walls. These mount in cutouts in your walls and ceiling and are fed from the back by hidden wires. Although there's sometimes a trade-off in performance with in-walls because of installation considerations, today's best in-walls are high-performance speakers suitable for many home theater and multi-room audio applications.
The type of speakers you zero in on will depend on your aesthetics, space considerations, musical taste, performance needs, and budget. When you're ready to audition speakers, bring along some CDs and movie soundtracks you're familiar with. Don't let the salesperson rush you. Just take your time, close your eyes, and listen carefully for the following criteria: the height, width, and depth of the sonic image, overall tonal balance, and any obvious coloration such as nasal or sibilant-sounding vocals, boomy bass that lacks clarity, or cabinet vibrations, and dynamic range, a speaker's ability to accurately reproduce both very soft and extremely loud passages. Let your ears guide you. And be sure to buy from a reputable, authorized retailer with a good return or exchange policy.
If you're happy with the performance of your sound system, it may be time to get a bigger video display. How big depends on the size of your room. Get too close to the screen and the scan lines that make up the picture may become distracting. The rule for a standard non-digital television with a square-shaped display is that the distance from the screen to your eyes be about 3 times the diagonal screen size. However, the new high-definition digital TVs are so detailed you can get much closer, something to consider if space is tight. You've got 4 options when shopping for a TV. Traditional direct view sets get as large as 40 inches diagonal. Upgrading from a 27-inch to a 36-inch TV adds 30% more display area. This makes it an affordable way to dramatically improve your home theater. Some of the features to look for in a direct view TV are S-video inputs and possibly component video inputs, progressive scan capability for watching advanced video formats, a 3D digital comb filter for improved color and clarity from VCRs or broadcasts, a flat no-glare screen, and adjustable color temperature or picture modes with a movie or theater setting.
If you want an even larger picture, rear projection TVs really put the big in big screen. Screen sizes range from 40 inches diagonally up to 6 feet. These sets use 3 miniature picture tubes and a system of lenses and mirrors to project the image on the back of the screen. Today's rear projectors offer wonderful color and clarity when properly calibrated and viewed in the recommended subdued light. Rear projectors should have a reasonably wide viewing angle that doesn't deteriorate too rapidly as you move off to the sides. Otherwise, look for many of the same features you look for in a direct view set.
Yet another display option to explore is the 2-piece front projection system. If rear projectors deliver a big picture, front projectors deliver a huge one, 10 feet or larger. The projector is often mounted on the ceiling and the picture is beamed to a screen hung from a wall or ceiling. There are several types of front projectors, each with its own strengths and weaknesses. To look their best, they all require a fully darkened room. Our 4th option is the plasma display, the space-age thin-screen TVs you can hang on a wall. They come in widescreen sizes from 42 to 50 inches diagonal. Plasma displays can be pricey, but they're unmatched for their aesthetics and cool factor.
Whatever type of TV you lean toward, now is the time to consider a high-definition television, or HD TV. The United States has begun the transition to a new digitally transmitted television standard called ATSC, after the Advanced Television Systems Committee that developed it. It allows broadcasters and cable programmers to use a range of digital video formats, each with a different level of picture clarity. Among them are standard definition, similar to the quality of today's satellite dish reception, enhanced definition, which is a step up, and the best of these formats, high definition, which is a giant step up. These days, you can buy a full HD TV that includes a digital tuner or an HDTV-ready monitor to which you can add a digital tuner later on. You'll also get a choice of a widescreen 16:9 format display or the standard 4:3 screen shape. Whichever you buy, look for a screen mode that will display enhanced for widescreen anamorphic DVDs.
No matter what TV you settle on, consider having it professionally calibrated at least once. While the test patterns on this disc can help you improve your picture, several key parameters can only be fine-tuned by a trained technician with the right instruments. Rear and front projectors greatly benefit from professional calibration. You can get more information or locate a certified technician through the Imaging Science Foundation, listed in the resource directory.
Another way to improve your home theater is to upgrade or add source components. DVD players, for example, come in several different flavors. Progressive scan component video models, for instance, use different techniques to increase the number of scan lines in the picture for a smoother, more film-like image than S-video or regular component video. To watch progressive scan pictures, you'll need a TV with a compatible input. You'll find that on most of the new widescreen digital TVs, as well as on some traditional models.
Now, if you've been wondering when you'll be able to record on DVDs, stop wondering. DVD recorders in several competing formats are on the market, though the early models have been quite expensive.
Other variations on the straight DVD player are DVD audio and super audio CD players that combine DVD video playback with these new music formats. DVD audio and SACD provide multi-channel and stereo music with higher sound quality than you can get from regular CDs or DVD video discs. Before you shop, check out software availability for either of these formats, and remember that you'll need a receiver or preamp with a 6-channel analog input to make full use of these formats' high-resolution audio capabilities.
If space on your equipment rack is tight, try swapping out your single-disc DVD player for a carousel changer or even a DVD mega changer that holds up to 400 discs. Since every DVD player doubles as a CD player, getting a DVD changer allows you to lose your existing CD player and its remote. The hard disk video recorder is another device that could seriously enhance your home theater. These decks use video compression technology to record and store up to 30 hours of programming at one time on a computer-style hard drive. They've got lots of cool features, including the ability to freeze or replay live television as it's coming in. There's also an on-screen program guide to tell you what's on, and you can even tell the machine to find and record programs that meet your personal criteria.
A satellite TV dish and receiver are another great addition for any home theater. You'll get access to more channels than with cable or broadcast, excellent picture and sound quality, and even some HD TV programming if you buy the right equipment and sign up for the service. In some areas, the nation's 2 satellite providers, DirecTV and EchoStar's Dish Network, also have begun serving up local broadcast affiliates along with national programming.
Now, here's a home theater accessory that should be welcome in many households. It's a universal remote control that operates your entire system. These sophisticated remotes feature LCD touchscreens, so each component in your system has its own screens with buttons clearly labeled for each function. You can even create sequences of commands called macros to turn on your entire system with one button. Best of all, a good universal remote eliminates that enormous pile of remotes cluttering the coffee table.
Now we've come to the ultimate upgrade, building a custom home theater to beautify your system's appearance or hide it completely. The use of custom cabinets, in-wall speakers, retractable projectors and screens, automatic draperies and lights, or even the complete fabrication of a mock theater environment all fall under the umbrella of custom installation. Elaborate home theaters can easily run into 6 figures, but a custom install can also be as simple as running wires through the walls to add background music to a remote room or patio. Though some simpler installation jobs can be handled by an experienced do-it-yourselfer, most times it pays to hire a custom installer. The Custom Electronic Design and Installation Association, or CEDIA, can direct you to specialists in your area who are experts in this work. You can learn more or find an installer by contacting CEDIA. They're listed in our resource directory.
No matter what you're shopping for, our last piece of advice is, do your homework. Begin by looking at enthusiast magazines to learn more about your product category and read product reviews. Then extend your search to the internet, where you can visit manufacturer and enthusiast websites. Finally, when you're ready to shop, use authorized dealers and spend some time getting to know the gear. There's no substitute for hands-on, ears open, and eyes sharp experience. Happy hunting!
And happy viewing.